Buddy. Obviously, I am not Chris Hand, but welcome to the Chris Hand Show for Friday, December 20th, 2024. My name is EJ Haust. I am a political refugee from the state of Minnesota, Stan. Yes, you heard that correctly. I used to live in the very cold north. Right now, they are about 5 to 6 inches under snow, so couldn't be happier to be down here in Tennessee, where I can enjoy a state income tax-free lifestyle. Lots of Republicans, lots of conservative folks, really, really good people down here in the South. And I've been grateful to be here for a few years. Chris is in sunny Arizona at the Turning Point America Fest. I got to say I'm a little jealous of that because, first of all, the weather here in Middle Tennessee has been anything but enjoyable, a little wet and soggy, but better than where I came from up in Minnesota. So happy about that. But then also he gets to see some really great speakers and just enjoy being around this America First agenda for a couple of days. So hope Chris is enjoying his time up there. You can follow me on X, EJ Under the Radar. I've been pretty busy on the X machine lately with all the breaking news at EJ Under the Radar. I am joined this morning by Mason, hitting all the important buttons and keeping us on time. So thank you for that, sir, behind the glass. And Joan Jones, who it will be breaking news all morning, it sounds like, thanks to this CR and all the crazy that is happening up
That just means I'll be butting
DC.
in.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we definitely want to stay on top of it, and we appreciate Joan doing that for us. So we have a lot to get through today. Obviously, breaking news will take precedent over everything here, but let's keep in line with the show prep I've got for you because we have amazing guests coming on in the second hour and the third hour. Want to make sure we get to them. A hero, somebody who his name is Taylor Winston, and he's just fantastic. He was at the shooting in Las Vegas and turned hero. So we want to hear his story. He is an advocate for 2A rights now and is really terrific. We'll be talking about, obviously, the news stories of the day and then a couple of things that are flying under the radar. That's kind of my thing. I like finding those news stories that are, not making the big headlines, but are important to your everyday life and something that, sometimes we miss when the news headlines tend to focus on the sensational and the things that get a lot of clicks. And I like finding those things that are flying under the radar a little bit. So before we end the show today, too, I want to see if we can't talk a little bit about the holiday, talk about Christmas, and what are the gifts that you're going to give your conservative friends. I would love to hear from you on that. Obviously, you can call into the show. I have my little notes here. The super text line is 615-737-9986. You can, again, just tweet me over at X at EJ Under the Radar. Would love to hear from you. If you've got conservative gifts, gift ideas, funny, if they are unusual, something that's really cool, let me know. And before the end of the show, we'll kind of do a top 10 list or a top 5 list, whatever we've got going on there. So I promise I'm going to do my best to make it fun, share some news, and send you into this last weekend before Christmas with some knowledge. Let's talk about what is going to get you through those unusual conversations with your not so conservative friends, right? The neighbor that still has the Kamala sign in the yard. What do you say to that guy when he brings something up, especially this week? So want to start, though, with the radical lefties. They have the Democrats, the radical left, the garbage media. They have gotten their talking points. They know who the new boogeyman is. And so we're going to kind of dig into a couple of these things. I have some audio that is just outrageous. They are losing their minds, y'all. The radical lefties, the crazy on the left, the Whoopi Goldbergs of the world. We've got a pretty funny clip about this. I think they've decided that Elon Musk is the new boogeyman. I think we broke the left, you guys. Like, I think we broke them. They can't even function at this point. Listen to Whoopi yesterday on The View.
Who is in charge? Because
I've been saying it for a while.
Yes, you have.
I've been saying that I think Elon Musk believes he's president. I do.
Well, you've been calling him vice president.
I've called him vice president. I called him president because I don't know what JD is doing. I hardly ever say. I don't remember the last time we even talked about JD.
You're right. He's planning the presidency when he's going to get rid of Trump.
So you think it's Musk Vance?
Possible.
Hey, you know who? Stay away from the stairways. Because, people put the leg out to trip you going down the stairs. Watch out.
Oh, my goodness. Can you even believe that? These people really are calling, they're calling Elon Musk co-president. That's what they're calling him now. They're basically saying he's in charge. They're terrified of the guy. And you have to laugh because they talk about JD. We haven't talked about JD. When was the last time they talked about JB? How about Joe Biden? We know that guy isn't running the government. Nobody seems to have a problem with that. But it gets worse, right? CNN's Jim Acosta and Brian Stelter. Okay, two of the biggest lefty loonies on CNN, right? But they melted down yesterday also. They're really upset that Elon posts to X and riles up the MAGA base, and they're terrified. So we've got audio on that too. Listen to how scared they are of Elon Musk.
To Dan Crenshaw's point, Elon Musk is spreading fake news. On this, he is fake news.
And he relies on people to reply to him and tell him what's up. He says, you are the media now. That's his message on X. And yet that really leaves a lot to be desired.
A lot to be desired? What's wrong with citizen journalism, man? What is wrong with the people having a voice? Absolutely nothing, of course, but they're terrified because that means that they are going to be held accountable for all of their lies and for all of their crazy when they are on their outrageous tangents. I mean, you would think, they'd learn a lesson after what just happened with Stephanopoulos, right? Having to pay $15 million, his network did, in a lawsuit that Trump won because he lied. These people are absolutely terrified. I was trying to come up with a term for it, right? Like, Trump derangement syndrome has now turned into, I think, Elonophobia. Can we do that? Can we coin a phrase right here? Mason, you like that?
That's pretty good.
I think that's a pretty good one. I mean, they are truly terrified of the guy, which is, I love it, right? We love to see it because for 4 years, they have done nothing, really 8 years since the beginning of Donald Trump's first term. They have done nothing but lie, exaggerate, pontificate, and just trash the guy with this Trump derangement syndrome. And so now they've decided, all right, we're going to give Trump a little bit of a reprieve while we trash on Elon Musk. Listen, what Elon did was put a post out there. Hey, there's some pork in this bill. Okay. That's common, actually. But what's uncommon is that the people who saw that on X, who are following Elon for who he is. Listen, he's a brilliant guy. I'll get into why I don't want to see him as speaker later, but he's a brilliant guy. And what he did was give a voice to the people, and they're terrified. I think it's terrific. I think the Elonophobia is going to get worse, however. I don't think we're done with this. I think they're going to keep doubling down on that, calling him co-president and saying that he's dangerous, that he's got fake news. He didn't have fake news. He posted what's in the bill. That's not fake. That's real, everybody. I do have another clip for you, too. So Joy Reid, MSNBC. Y'all, listen, I watch the garbage news media so that you don't have to. I know you hear a lot of people say that in the news, but it's true. This is what I do for you. But also keep in mind, if we want to know what the other side is thinking and doing so that we can battle it better, it's important to pay attention to them. So I do make a point to listen in here and there. And Joy Reid, she's got the Elonophobia in a bad way. She had Eric Swalwell. I call him Eric Sleeps with Spies. Swalwell. And they got the memo, obviously, for the new Democrat, radical lefty cabal talking points. Listen to these two wahoos on the show yesterday.
including Cassidy Hutchinson. The other thing that's happening in your body, why are they taking orders from Elon Musk? Why is Speaker Johnson? Who's the speaker? Is it Elon Musk or is it Mike Johnson?
It's Speaker Musk right now.
Is he co-president or is he speaker?
He wants to be speaker this week, but he invested, $200+ million in the last election, and now he thinks that he owns these guys and then that he can tell them, how to vote, when to vote. And what I've told my Republican colleagues, and I told some of them this today, I said, if you go along with this and you let Elon Musk shut down the government by tweet, he's going to own you the entire Congress. The next 2 years, you're going to have to sit around and wait for him to send a tweet to see if you're allowed to vote on a bill.
Including Cassidy.
Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? And then turning around like last night, totally disproving everything Swalwell said there on Joy Reid's show, because we've got Republicans who are standing firm and saying, no, I don't want additional spending, that I was voted into this position to do good things, and I'm going to vote based on my constituency. So, they're fear-mongering, but it's not coming to a fruition, right? Elon does he have power? Sure, because he has influence. But his influence is really our influence thanks to the power of X, right? We're allowed to kind of go out there and say a bunch of stuff now that would have gotten us banned off of Twitter and Facebook and YouTube all those years ago. Certainly during COVID, it was amplified. And now we have a voice. So, one of the things that was said yesterday repeatedly by several congressmen and women was that when he put the tweet out, their phones started ringing in their DC offices and in their home offices. That's not a bad thing. Like, if Swalwell is afraid to take phone calls from his constituents based on a tweet, then he doesn't deserve to be in that position. Well, I mean, I don't think he deserves to be there anyway, thanks to Fan Fong Fong, whatever the heck her name was, that he, that story from his past. He has a checkered past when it comes to Chinese spies. That said, the guy still has a voice. He's on CNN, he's on X or whatever, but he's just spouting off lies. When do they stop? When do they stop this silliness? I don't know. I don't think it's going to come anytime soon. The Ilanophobia is real. And I'm glad I coined that phrase. I actually just thought of that while I was talking. So if you have a better name for it though, come out if you've got something else. If it's Muskophobia or Musk derangement, let me know. I mean, obviously, I want to hear from you. I can see we're getting some texts in now, so that's terrific. I'll read off any of the good ones later. The thing is, it's absolutely hilarious. All of these people, Swalwell and the rest, they are losing their minds. They're basically acting like radical loonies. They're like cats who were just thrown into a bathtub, flailing around, and they can't quite catch their breath. So I love to see it. I hope you do too. Listen, you are listening to EJ Haust, EJ Under the Radar, here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I hope you will text in. Text line is 615-737-9986. You can watch this show on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, 997WTN.com and Super Talk TV. I'm glad you're here with me today. I'm obviously filling in for Chris Hand. I am not the actual Chris Hand, but he is enjoying some much needed time off and some really fun times in Arizona at AmFest. We're going to get an update actually on AmFest when we talk to one of the guests in the second hour. So that's kind of exciting. And I hope that you'll let me know this new Ilanophobia, what you think of that. And, maybe we can hit on the fact that Joe Biden is also not running the country. And so who's his co-president? We'll get to that and a whole lot more on the other side of the break.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Two people shot at a manufacturing plant in Livingston, Overton County. This, by the way, is an active shooter situation. Also, we're waiting to see if another continuing resolution makes it to the House floor as promised today. We've got those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Chris Hand Show here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am EJ Haust filling in for the great Chris Hand. We are having a really fun conversation today and gloating a little bit that the Democrats and radical lefties are losing their ever-loving minds. If you're here for it, let's dig in. Senator Elizabeth Warren from the great state of Massachusetts calls Elon the co-president. And that apparently is the new tagline. That's the new talking point, the new narrative, if you will, for the lefty cabal. And I'm loving it. I think it's hilarious because it's so patently false and easy to disprove, right? I think it's absolutely hilarious, and I'm here for it. I'm here for the show. If you would like to be part of the show today here, please give me a call, 615-737-9986. That is also the super text line. Would love to hear from you. One of the things that we're trying to gather throughout the show here is what are the gifts you want to give your conservative friends this Christmas? What are the things that would make a good impact and would make those conservative friends and family really happy? I've got a couple of texts coming in already, so we'll talk about those a little bit later in the show. But let's go ahead and pile on those Democrats for all the crazy that they are. So the latest thing is that they're calling Elon Musk co-president. They're just terrified that he has so much power because, he has the X machine. Okay, well, X actually gives us the power because it lets us see what's happening in the world. Citizen journalists have an outlet now that's not going to get them banned or kicked off or canceled. So that's kind of exciting. And one thing I did notice is that Joe Biden has not been president for 4 years. We all know that. He's got the title, but he doesn't have any of the tasks. So who's his co-president? Funny how all of these people, the Joy Reids of the world and the rest of them, they are all just, frothing at the mouth right now with, Elon has too much power. And is he the vice president? Is he this? Is that? Whoopi Goldberg losing her mind saying Trump better watch out for stairs so that nobody pushes it. As if J.D. Vance and Elon Musk would take out Donald Trump. It's absolutely bananas. Anyway, I felt like, it's worth noting that there's a lot of Obama holdovers in the current Biden administration, right? Valerie Jarrett's still there, Eric Holder, Tom Vilsack, like lots of people are still, and tons of aides and staff and things like that at the White House. Boy, they're all over it. So who's running the government right now? I mean, I think it's clear that Trump is acting president, right? I mean, he's the one talking with foreign leaders. Which, by the way, since he's the one talking with foreign leaders, since he's the one who's making the cabinet picks, all of that kind of stuff, isn't he basically the president at the moment? I don't know. I think it's worth talking about, right? He's totally incoherent a good portion of the time and sleeping during important meetings. So his wife, Dr. Jill, is even running cabinet meetings. I think it's safe to say that if there is a such thing as a shadow government or behind the scenes, it's not Trump you got to worry about. They're pretty transparent. I think it's the current Biden administration. So, Mason, do we have that link or that do we have time for that right now? No time for that. Okay, so when we come back, then I've got a good clip for you from Scott Jennings. That guy's on top of it. He really knows what's going down. Let's go ahead and check in with the news, Joan.
We are going to check in. 9:31 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And there's breaking news to tell you about this morning. 2 people have been shot at a manufacturing plant in Livingston, Overton County. And the Overton County Emergency Management Agency confirms the shooter has not yet been captured. Now, there are some news outlets reporting that the shooter, who is either a current or a former employee, is in the parking lot of the Hutchinson plant. That's where this all happened. But other sources are saying the shooter has been stopped on I-40 in Roane County. And that's where we're seeing heavy police presence, including air surveillance. Now, also, that interstate is shut down right now in Roane County. I-40 shut down in Roane County. As for the victims in this incident, one was critically injured and airlifted to a hospital. The other was taken to a hospital by ambulance. We will keep you updated on this developing story we are watching right now. However, as I-40 is shut down, both directions, as crews are out there in Roane County looking for the suspect. Well, we are still also awaiting a vote on the House floor on a new continuing resolution. We're told by Congressman Tim Burchett this one would be a clean version, nothing added to it at all. He called in this morning on the Dan Mandis Show to talk to us about that. There would be other smaller funding bills to vote on for other activities and initiatives. Now, over in the Senate this morning, Senate Majority Chuck Schumer is speaking.
The only way to get anything done is through bipartisanship.
And he's making it clear this morning that the Democrats will not make it easy for the Republicans to dig themselves out of the hole on this continuing resolution idea. Again, this is another developing story, and we will keep you apprised of this all throughout the day as we learn more as well. That's the latest news. We've got your weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Chris Hand Show. Obviously, I am not Chris Hand. I am EJ. EJ Haust. You can find me on X at EJ under the radar.
You're much prettier than he is.
Hey,
honestly,
thank you.
really. Hey, want to let you know a little bit about that shooting that happened in Livingston?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so what's happening right now is that the police have shut down, TBI is out there too, they've shut down I-40 in both directions in Roane County out by Knoxville. And the suspect in this case, who allegedly shot the two people in the parking lot of the plant in Livingston, he's in a car right now and he's barricaded himself in. Police are trying to get him to come out and surrender, and they're hoping to, have this end peacefully.
Sure.
But at the moment, I-40, if you plan on doing any traveling this morning, east of here on I-40, you're going to have some trouble because it's shut down both directions in Roane County, out by Knoxville.
Do we know if he is the only shooter they're looking for?
Yes.
It kind of sounds like it, right?
Yeah, it does sound like it. He was either a current employee or a former employee, so they know who he is. I think they know his motives here. And the shooting happened in the parking lot of the company's called Hutchinson Manufacturing in Livingston. There are two plants named Hutchinson in Livingston. We're not really sure which one it was.
Okay.
But so, yeah, he took off in a car. Police followed him. He's on I-40 in a car barricaded, and police are hoping to get him out. So I-40 shut down both directions out by Knoxville. Keep that, in your head as you're traveling this morning.
Yeah, let's say a quick prayer for all of the law enforcement involved. Hopefully this
and
is
the two victims.
safe,
one of them was airlifted in critical condition.
Yikes. Oh, what is
Lots
wrong
to pray
with
for.
humanity right now?
Mm-hmm.
That's too bad. That is too bad. Well, thank you for sharing. And if you have more breaking news, cut on in.
You betcha.
All right, everybody. You are listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can actually watch this radio show on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, obviously, and on Super Talk TV. And you can call or text our Super Text line or call 615-737-9986. Listen, I am loving this Super Text line. So one of the things that we talked about right out of the gate on the show was this Elanophobia that I just made up out of the blue. Yes, I'm going to take credit for that because I think I'm the first one to say it. If I'm not, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it beforehand, so now it's mine. But anyway, we are talking about Democrats and radical lefties and how they have completely lost their minds. They are terrified of the power that Elon Musk has. And listen, when I talk about power that he has, I'm not talking about like him like personally influencing legislation. I don't think that's a thing. What is a thing is that Elon has given a voice and given amplification to the voice of the people. So I think that's pretty awesome. I don't see a problem with it. There's no reason we shouldn't be paying attention. And thanks to Elon being involved, more people are paying attention. These kind of CRs just typically go right through every 3 months. It's a continuing resolution. In fact, Thomas Massey, and I don't have this clip, but I'll paraphrase it for you because it's like 3 minutes long. Thomas Massey, back in September, on September 25th, he said, and that's obviously he's a congressman, he said, we're just going to be doing this same thing again on December 20th, right before Christmas. He said, what you're going to do is you're going to kick the can down the road. And then you're going to fearmonger and say, there's a shutdown coming right before Christmas. And if you want to get home so that you can open your presents with your family, you got to vote this thing through, hold your nose, vote it through, and increase spending by trillions of dollars. He called it 3 months ago. And quite honestly, though, anybody who does pay attention to this stuff, like we could have called it 14 months ago, 18 months ago, 3 years ago. Like that's how these things go, right? And more often than not, for those who aren't really aware of kind of the making of the sausage and how muddy it is. So most bills go this way. They will originate in the House. They're supposed to originate in the House. Everybody remembers, the bill on Capitol Hill, the little cartoon from years ago. So they're supposed to originate in the House, particularly spending bills, right? And they go through some committees and things like this. They get thrown together with lots of different topics because, we're going to call it the CARE Act or we're going to call it the SAVE Act. I'm going to talk about the COSA Act a little bit later on today. And they call it this fancy name or whatever. And then the lobbyists come in and all the influencers come in and they add some stuff to the bills. So it has this nice name, but that's how you get these 1,500-page bills. It's because they add a bunch of other junk to it so that you're kind of forced to pass this bad thing because of the one good thing that they're calling the bill, right? And it's the Overton window. If anybody's familiar with that, it's basically asking for a whole heck of a lot, and then you're going to pare back some of it, but you're still going to get a lot of junk anyway. And so I think probably my gut tells me that that's what this CR was going to be. The original one really didn't have a chance to pass, and probably everybody knew that because it was so full of junk, but it was the Overton window. We're going to say that we're going to put this thing out there. We're going to take the heat. We're going to take the hits on media and X and everything else, the calls to the office. We're going to kill this first one, and then we're going to put something together that is quote unquote clean, but what does that even mean? They just called it clean. It wasn't clean. It was still trillions of dollars more in spending. There's nothing clean about that, right? Could have been one page. In fact, Vivek Ramaswamy came out and tweeted that, and he said, here, I've got it for you. We can do it in like a page and a half. Basically just says keep spending at the current levels until, whatever date. And hopefully by that date, we can get Doge to come in and reduce some spending, right? Like that's kind of where everybody on the right anyway thought this was going. And now it's kind of a mess. And I found this clip with Scott Jennings on CNN because he made a really good point yesterday about Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson, and what kind of control he has right now over this entire process. So I think he's right. I think they're kind of losing control. Mason, do we have that clip? Let's play that.
For this squarely on Elon Musk first and foremost, and Trump after that, and that would be the timeline of how this played out. What do you say to her?
Well, she let the mask slip right at the end. She said, "Who's the president right now?" I mean, who's the president-elect? But she asked the right question first. Who is the president right now? Joe Biden, who we rarely hear from, and the Wall Street Journal reported today, has been diminished for the last 4 years, and we've had unelected people running around running the federal government, apparently. So if that is what they're worried about, if they're worried about people who aren't Donald Trump, running the government or having influence, I wonder where they've been the last 4 years. Now, this doesn't excuse anybody's behavior on Capitol Hill tonight, but I think it's pretty rich for Democrats to be worried about people who aren't Donald Trump having influence when the current president, a Democrat, is AWOL and apparently not able to execute the duties of the office.
Yeah, there's more to that clip, but basically what he was saying is this process now, because it's been derailed and we're talking about who's actually the president and the talking points that we've been discussing since the top of the show, that Mike Johnson's lost a little control here over how this whole process works. This is how it's supposed to work, though. It's not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, we'd have we have trillions in debt. And that's because we've had this kind of simple process of everybody agreeing to everything, this elite cabal, this uniparty in D.C. And so now we've got 38 Democrat holdouts that voted no and said, even this clean thing is not clean enough for us. People are going to be angry with them. I understand. But that's probably the best thing for us because it forces us all to talk about it. So we're talking about how, though, all the Democrats are freaking out and really scared of Elon having that kind of power, putting the bill up online, having people talk about it, basically say, hey, we have a deal. No, we don't have a deal, and kind of derailing all of that kind of stuff. I asked the listeners what you think about my Elonophobia. I think they've got a fear of Elon. And some of the folks coming in with some comments are hilarious. We've seen muskrats. The Democrats afraid of Elon could be called muskrats. I love that. That's absolutely awesome. Keep sending them to me because, if we can't laugh, we'd all go insane. There's the Musk obsessives. And Muskvid-19, they're pretty funny. I mean, keep them coming in. That's pretty good. But the thing is, we can joke all day long, but it really is kind of serious. Like, all of that joking aside, these radical Democrats, the lapdog media, they are so blinded by and really like driven by their hatred, that Trump derangement syndrome, that they almost don't know how to function without it. And so, and they assume that everyone is like them. And we're not. Like, we like to work with a team, but we also have independent thought. So we can get frustrated that this CR might shut the government down or whatever. I personally, listen, I don't think a government shutdown is a totally horrible thing. We've had lots of them, and like, no one died. And everybody got paid, right? We've had these before. This is not something new. And every time it comes up, it's like, the sky is falling, the shutdown is coming. I promise you, it's okay. We're gonna make it. You can still open presents on Christmas, right? Like, it's fine. But to say that Elon has more power than he does is really disingenuous. And they know it. But that's why they're ginning up all of this fear, because they just don't know how to function otherwise. You are listening to The Chris Hand Show. I am EJ Haust. Follow me on X at EJ Under the Radar. Watch the show on YouTube, Facebook, on 997WTN.com. I hope you will do that. Call into the show. I love having callers, 615-737-9986. I appreciate you being with me here today. Next hour, we've got more on this topic, and we're actually going to expand on a couple of other things. And then also we have a really terrific guest, a hero you do not want to miss. So I hope you'll stick around for that.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Talk.
Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like, gonna run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass.
On the grass.
Leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
We've got an update here on the active shooter situation that has I-40 in Roane County shut down in both directions right now while police are trying to coax a man out of his car. Details coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we go, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Chris Hand Show. I am EJ Haust filling in for Chris Hand. I'm getting some questions on the Super Text line asking, where's Chris today? He is lucky enough to be in Arizona at AmFest, America Fest. It's a Turning Point USA event. Really phenomenal event and timely given what's going on this week. Pretty interesting stuff. So Turning Point is a pretty awesome organization, Charlie Kirk's group there. What they do is outreach and building a coalition of chapters all across the United States for young people to get involved and to love America first. And he's on tons of college campuses. I say his organization is, and they reach out to college age students and now even high schools and younger by way of church groups and things like that. And, quite honestly, he might be the reason, this organization might be the reason the tide turned so dramatically for Trump, for young men. I firmly believe that. And so Chris is out there living it up, watching tons of really great speakers, probably hobnobbing with important people like Congress people who are, well, they're probably not there yet. They're in D.C., but Tucker Carlson is there. Glenn Beck is there. Obviously, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, I saw yesterday.
Yeah, he was talking yesterday that Tom Homan's going to make an appearance tomorrow.
Yeah, Tom Homan. And actually, we have a guest on later that has a Tom Homan connection. I'm very excited for that. So stick around for 11 a.m. Tom Homan is amazing. I actually went to an event he had down in Franklin a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think his clips on media give him enough credit. Like we like watching him because he's so hardcore. But the truth is, he's got a heart of gold, and he's mad for good reason. So really cool guy. But Chris is there listening to all this good stuff, getting really hyped up and excited for the Trump presidency. Trump will be making appearance this weekend, and I just think that's such an awesome opportunity. So that's where Chris is. But lucky for me that he's not here because I get to be with all of you. So pretty excited about that. We are going to end this hour just on this topic of the Democrats being, loony lefties. They've lost their minds. They're really afraid. They're acting like they're afraid of Elon, but the truth is they're afraid of you. Elon gave us a voice. We look to Elon because he gave us a cancel-free platform to play on with X. But now other platforms, too, are taking note, right? Like Zuckerberg is now going to donate to the inauguration, and, Facebook is making some changes. So it's, in my opinion, it's all good. But the Democrats, they're scared. They do have a fundamental problem, though. They assume everybody is like them. And what I mean by that is they think the presidential role is like a kingship, like a dictatorship, like an let's rewind. Authoritarian king figure. They assume that conservatives think that way too. And we just don't. I mean, we're just fundamentally different. And that's a good thing. That's what makes America so awesome. And I'm here for it. I love the show. So come back after the break. We've got some news. We've got all kinds of information for you here on 99.7. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you.
Good morning, 10 o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Stick around. We've got your forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. And an active shooter situation underway right now in Roane County near Knoxville. And that's where a man is barricaded in his car on I-40. Police are attempting to get him to surrender. Now, traffic in either direction on I-40 in Roane County is shut down right now while they continue to work with this potential shooter. He is the lone suspect in a double shooting at a manufacturing plant that in Livingston. That is the Hutchinson plant. And that's where the man is accused of shooting two people in the parking lot of that plant. One of the victims has been airlifted to a hospital. That person is in critical condition. The other was taken by ambulance to a hospital. The shooter is said to be either a current or a former employee at Hutchinson. Now, we'll keep you updated. Just keep in mind that I-40 in Roane County out by Knoxville is closed down in both directions while this situation plays out. Other news at this hour, we are told the House of Representatives were to meet to vote on a new continuing resolution. This would be the third such version of that legislation, and it's in an effort to keep the federal government funded. Now, many of the House Freedom Caucus met this morning to vote. They met yesterday to vote against a skinny version of that bill. They met with J.D. Vance, the vice president-elect, and the House Speaker this morning, and they've reportedly come up with a plan to introduce separate small bills. According to Congressman Tim Burchett, he called in to talk to Dan Mandis during that meeting today.
We've got to hold the line. As Tennesseans, I talk about this, and now they're talking about it. Individual spending bills. That's what we do in Tennessee. That's what they're doing right. That's what they're discussing right now.
Yeah, those independent small bills, but any bill would certainly need the help from Democrats.
We don't know what the Democrats will do at this hour. They are going to be meeting at about 10 a.m. to discuss whatever comes out of Speaker Johnson's office. But again, Republicans and Speaker Johnson need Democratic votes, and they might get them.
That's Fox News' Aisha Hasni. Now, we will keep you updated as we learn more about this. So far, no vote. There are reportedly some problems at Nashville Airport for some holiday travelers wishing to take their pets with them. Fox 17 is reporting that people are being turned away at Southwest Airlines baggage check-in because their pets can't stand up in their pet carrier. Those travelers say they followed all the rules that were posted online.
Never had this issue before. Wow. You know, they spell out the size of a travel carrier.
Yeah.
We had that, but this is new. I mean, they ask that you call ahead to say, yes, we're going to bring an animal. We do that. Do they say anything about it? No, they don't. So you get to the airport, and all of a sudden, this is the situation you're left with.
We're supposed to go to Texas for Christmas with our kids. And now I'm traveling by myself, and he doesn't have nobody here. Yeah. That's just not right.
Now, the Fox 17 says that the FAA guidelines for pet travel also don't say that your pet needs to be able to stand up in that carrier. That is the latest news. We've got weather on the way. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Welcome back in, everybody. Welcome to the second hour of the Chris Hand Show. Quite obviously, I am not Chris Hand. I am EJ Haust. You can find me at EJ Under the Radar on X. It's one of my favorite places to get news and play around and kind of give the left a hard time. Boy, they're so easy to jab, aren't they? Thank you for listening this morning. You can also watch this show via the Supertalk TV if you go to 997wtn.com. I believe it's also on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Is that right, Mr. Mason?
That's correct. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook.
Nice.
Nice little
So
spread.
no excuses. You can see it, you can hear it, just no excuses.
Absolutely.
We have been talking all first hour about the radical, crazy lefty Dems who have lost their ever-loving minds. And while that's a super fun topic, I do want to kind of expand on that and kind of get through this CR stuff. I'm not going to recap everything. Everybody knows where we've been. CR was coming through. It was kick the can down the road from September. Continuing resolution was supposed to fund the government through March, I believe, end of March. And, you know, their looming shutdown rhetoric, of course, has gone bananas. Okay, first bill failed. It was 1,500 pages long. Obviously, nobody could read it. They didn't give the Congress people enough time to read it. And that's against the rules anyway. And, of course, it was filled with a bunch of nonsensical pork. Okay, so that's all. There's your recap. And then yesterday, a new spending bill came through, supposedly calling it clean. And I think the general thought in D.C. was this thing was going to pass. But what it did, and actually Trump pushed for it, was to raise the debt ceiling indefinitely. Like no cap on the debt ceiling through 2027. That threw some really terrific Congress people I don't know. They just threw them a curveball. They didn't like it. And I don't blame them. I don't like it either. Interesting, though, that we're all this talk all week long. We're talking about Trump and Vance and Elon Musk and the new Congress. What you know who we're not talking about? The current president. So through all of this like crazy news, Biden and Harris and current members of Congress who are not going to be part of the next session, they're the ones who should be leading this conversation, but they're not. So that definitely brings up the power that Trump has. And obviously he's basically the president right now, but he's not actually the president right now. So, that should be the news story. It really should. Like that in any other time in American history, that would be the headline. Where's our current president? Why is the new incoming president taking on so much responsibility and negotiating with members of Congress and trying to get things passed that he wants? He's not president yet. That would be the headline in any other time. But because everybody knows that Biden is checked out, and the Wall Street Journal article, you can definitely go look for that. I mean, maybe we'll have time to touch on that in the last hour. Basically came out and said, everybody at the White House, all the aides, all media, we all knew that Biden was checked out and unavailable to run the White House. But nobody said anything, and they all let it slip. And now here he is in his last few weeks of his presidency, and that's when Wall Street Journal comes out with it. This is when the aides are saying so. It's really a sad state of affairs. But if you want to blame somebody for the CR not passing, all the Democrats who are freaking out about it. Oh, the military aren't going to get paid. That's a lie. Government offices are going to totally shut down. Also a lie. We're not going to be able to go to public parks. Of course you can, right? Like all of these things that they scare you. Oh, hurricane relief. $20 billion was put in the last CR. Why are we still fussing for that money now anyway? Like all of these things can happen without a continuing resolution too, by the way, with single issue bills. So all the rhetoric, I'm here to tell you, settle down. It's going to be okay. Tell your radical lefty friends to quit freaking out. And I'm going to do my part to let the radical left Democrat congressman like Jamie Raskin know that he can settle down too. I'm sure he's listening to the show right now, right? But if we could tee up that, listen to this rhetoric, listen to how scared Jamie Raskin is.
We had many weeks of negotiation with the Republicans. We arrived at a bipartisan legislative compromise. The Senate Democrats, the Senate Republicans, the House Democrats, the House Republicans, everybody agreed. And then it was blown up by Elon Musk, who apparently has become the fourth branch of government. And that's just an intolerable way of proceeding under representative democracy. So the Democrats are going to try to figure out how we can salvage the public good out of the wreckage that has just been foisted upon us.
Isn't that nuts? It's the Republicans' fault. I got more on that in a minute, but I want you to hear the House floor Congressman Richard Neal, also lefty loony. I mean, the guy is practically shaking on the House floor. He's freaking out. He's scared. He's mad. He's super mad at the Republicans. Listen to what Congressman Richard Neal had to say.
Your currency in this institution is your word. We reached an agreement. We came to modest achievements. And a tweet changed all of it? Can you imagine what the next 2 years are going to be like if every time the Congress works its will and then there's a tweet? Or from an individual who has no official portfolio, who threatens members on the Republican side with a primary, and they succumb? This institution has a separate responsibility based upon the separation of powers.
What a nut. Basically, what these two congressmen are saying is that prior to Trump's victory, the old guard, the tired old cabal, the uniparty, if you will, got together and created this monstrosity of a bill. They were talking about the 1,500-page one at this point. And it goes without saying that they're going to ratchet up the rhetoric, of course, because they want to scare everybody into, believing that the government's going to shut down and everything else. But, do you know how long it takes to write a 1,500-page piece of legislation? This isn't something that just happens by happenstance, right? This is hundreds, maybe 1,000 lobbyists that were working on writing this thing and putting all this stuff in there. Do you know how many, Congress doesn't actually write the bills. In the end, it all comes down to this. It wasn't one ex post. It wasn't just Elon Musk that turned the tables. Newsflash for you, Congressman Neal. The election is what changed it for you. The election is what happened. It wasn't a tweet. It was us. And honestly, it reminds me of that movie, A Bug's Life. Mason, have you ever seen that movie? A Bug's Life. It was, I think it's like Pixar or something. And it's like these ants that are gathering grain for some mean big bugs, hornets or something, or grasshoppers. And in the end, they realize there's way more of us than there are of you. And they defeat the grasshoppers. I kind of feel like the ants right now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right? It's a cute movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. But it's such when cartoons reflect reality, you know some big things are happening, right? So anyway, I mean, X obviously played a role, but here's what I find to be really, really interesting. Do you know that they could have passed that 1,547-page bill right away? You know why they didn't? Because almost 200 Democrats voted against it. So you've got 38 Republicans that are standing on principle, and you've got 197 Democrats that are just mad at Donald Trump and Elon Musk. You've got a couple of pontificators, bloviators, right? Like this Congressman Neal freaking out, yelling at the cameras, all that stuff. That's going to happen every time a bill comes up. Buckle up, Buttercup, because what is coming in January, they're not ready for it. They just aren't ready for it. And the media is going to have a field day with every kind of narrative they can throw out there for you. I promise. After days and days and days of CR talk, the infighting is another thing I definitely want to touch on. I can't stand the infighting. However, when you've got somebody like Congressman Tim Burchett, who's standing on principle because he knows what his people voted for, I'm going to back that guy all day, every day. He's not unreasonable. And in this particular case, don't hate me, Trump world, but in this particular case, I think Trump overplayed his hand asking for that, the debt ceiling, unlimited debt ceiling. I think he overplayed it. I think it should have been a clean bill. And it really, truly could have been a page like Vivek Ramaswamy put out there. It could have been a page. Just keep it going for right now. Don't shut down the government, blah, blah, blah. Do we love it? No. But at least just get us through until the inauguration. Because again, Trump isn't actually the president yet. So put all this on Biden. Let this be Biden's CR. We kind of missed an opportunity here. I get it with the first one, the 1,500 pages, floating that out there. Overton window, ask for a bunch, get a little. That's totally fine. I think that's how this works out sometimes. And for politicking reasons, sometimes you have to do that. But when it comes down to it, that second one could have passed if it was just keep it going for right now. And we promise once he's inaugurated, once we get Doge in place, once we have the Congress that we want, the Senate that we want, that was just voted in November, right? It was, really, it's only been a month and a little bit. We have 30 days until President Trump takes office. Like literally 1 month from today, 1 month from today, we will be saying President Trump again. So let's let that happen and not play our card too hard at the moment, because it gives fodder to that rhetoric that everybody's talking about. One of the things I want to talk about today, too, later on in the program is what are the conservative gifts that you are going to give your friends? I'm getting a lot on the Super Tech line. If you go to 615-737-9986, shoot me your best ideas for your conservative friends. Like, what are you going to give your friends and family? We've lots of book recommendations. So we'll get to more of that later on in the program, but I just wanted to shout out and quick remind you of that while we're talking about all this CR stuff, because it gets a little heavy and I feel like we need a little levity now and again too. So definitely shoot me your ideas on that. Also part of overplaying the hand is something Trump did on Truth Social yesterday that I'd love your feelings on this, your thoughts on this. Trump trashed, really slammed, took Chip Roy to the woodshed in a very public way. And I actually have some personal feelings about Chip Roy that you probably won't agree with if you think that he's just a conservative bastion of conservatism. So when we come back after the break, let's talk about that. Let's dig in. I'll read to you what Trump said on Truth Social about Chip Roy, and we'll dig into it a little bit deeper. This is the Chris Hand Show on 99.7 WTN. Yeah. Thank
A standoff continues to keep I-40 in both directions blocked in Roane County near Knoxville. That's bad news for anyone headed out for a holiday destination. Also, House Republicans have yet to bring a new continuing resolution to the House floor for a vote as the clock is ticking on a government shutdown. Those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Chris Hand Show. You are listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am EJ Haust, filling in for the great Chris Hand, who I hope is having an amazing time at America Fest in Arizona. We've been obviously talking about the CR and all of this kind of stuff, and I wanted to touch on something that's making its way around social media. Donald Trump yesterday had some harsh words for Congressman Chip Roy. So Chip Roy does a lot of really good things, but Donald Trump had this to say yesterday on Truth Social. The very unpopular, quote, congressman from Texas, Chip Roy, is getting in the way, as usual, of having yet another Republican victory, ... He basically ripped on him for a whole paragraph, and he said our country is far better off closing up for a period of time than it is agreeing to the things that the Democrats want to force upon us. On that, I agree. Biden is president, and it's his obligation to properly lead. We're there to do the right thing, and we can't agree with what Biden and the Democrats are demanding. Weak and ineffective people like Chip have to be dismissed as being utterly unknowledgeable as to the ways of politics and as to making America great again. Put America first and go for the victory, even if it means shutting the government down for a period of time. So lots of discussion on the socials about that. And listen, I don't like the infighting. I don't know that I love the timing of this post from President Trump, but I'm going to tell you a little story. So those who know me know I come from, I'm an escapee, a political refugee, if you will, from the state of Minnesota, Stan. Very cold up there, but more importantly, very blue. And I don't just mean like the politics, like lots of blue hair up there. I mean, it's blue. People wear their political affiliation on their heads. I'm not even kidding. So very difficult to be in Minnesota for the years that I was. So very, very grateful to be down here in Tennessee, where the people are terrific. The politics are better. There's things we can fix, but let's be honest. It's much better than Minnesota. So I was in Minnesota during COVID and the George Floyd riots. And I made note at the time. I was doing some radio and doing some citizen journalism up there and things like that. And I made note of those people in Congress, particularly those who aren't even from Minnesota, who didn't see firsthand what those riots did to communities, what they did to families, who didn't actually look at the case itself and understand that George Floyd is no martyr. It is a sad thing anytime someone dies. It is a sad thing that he was addicted to selling and currently taking ODing on fentanyl at the time of his death. That is very sad. But what Chip Roy did took it another step further. And remember, he had no business in Minnesota. He wasn't there. He praised George Floyd. He was in favor of COVID lockdowns. He was wearing a mask on the floor and all kinds of things. So while Chip was responding to Donald Trump and saying, old bill, $110 billion in deficit spending, new bill, $110 in deficit spending, blah, 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 time to read the bill, I will vote no. He was obviously trying to combat those things that Donald Trump was putting out there. I am reminded that he's not exactly, he hasn't always been a great conservative, right? Let's just remember that he has a history, and he was in favor of impeaching Donald Trump. He was in favor of Liz Cheney maintaining leadership in the J6 committee. So Chip Roy has a past. He was also one of the people who was trying to take out Texas AG Ken Paxton. So let's not forget that there's a history there and probably some bad blood with Trump. Trump holds grudges. He doesn't like anybody who impeached him. And I kind of don't blame him for that. So while I don't like the timing of this, and I think that some things could be hashed out behind closed doors and maybe not publicly while we're talking about, the CR, let's focus on the spending bill right now. Let's focus on that and maybe leave some of the personality stuff aside. I also get it. I understand why Trump would be like, all right, let's call this guy out publicly. And as someone who took notes during the George Floyd riots, during COVID, and made a point to never forget what those people put us through, I also understand that Chip Roy is not always a conservative friendly, right? I get that. I had a couple of clips here, but we're going to have to hold off because we've got just a couple minutes. And when we come back from this break, we have a really terrific guest. He is a hero from that shooting in Las Vegas, Route 91. Just an amazing human being. I'm going to have him tell the story. And then what he's doing now, what he's done since then that actually impacts people right now. So very excited about that. Please join us on the other side of this news and break. We do have to pay some bills, so appreciate you sticking with us for another couple of minutes.
Good morning. It's now 10:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got an update now on that breaking news story. TBI and Highway Patrol still on the scene of a standoff on I-40 in Roane County this morning, but we have just learned that the suspect has now been found dead. The man is suspected of shooting two people in the parking lot of the Hutchinson manufacturing plant in Livingston, Overton County. Apparently, he led police on a chase on I-40 heading eastbound and stopped his vehicle on the roadway. Police were said to be trying to get him to surrender. They are now reporting that he has committed suicide. Now, no troopers fired their weapons during the standoff. Eastbound 40, by the way, remains closed temporarily. One of the two victims had been airlifted to a hospital. The other was taken via ambulance. And we'll keep you updated as we learn more about the situation this morning. Now, the other big story that we have been following is that of a possible government shutdown, which is slated for midnight tonight because there is no agreement on a continuing resolution. Even after a meeting with GOP House leadership and members of the House Freedom Caucus, there is no movement to bring anything to the floor. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, however, said he wants the original 1,500-page resolution to be voted on again.
It's the quickest, simplest, and easiest way we can make sure the government stays open while delivering critical emergency aid to the American people.
Fox News' Aisha Hasni, however, tells us Republicans better get moving.
Here's the thing. The longer this takes for the House to get done, Schumer could potentially put his own CR on the floor in the Senate for a vote and try to jam House Republicans.
Now, we'll bring you any updates as we keep our eye on this story with breaking developments all day long with Ken Weaver. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the Chris Hand Show. Obviously, I am not Chris Hand. I am EJ Haust. You can find me on X at EJ Under the Radar. Spent a lot of time there catching up on news, checking out Citizen Journalist, doing my best to stay informed and be informative when I've got news, breaking news, or opinions, lots of opinions. Who doesn't have those, right? You're listening to 99.7 WTN. Let me tell you, you can actually watch this show too on YouTube, Facebook, X, the Super Talk TV on 997WTN.com. Encourage you to do that. I'm not always great at looking at the camera, but I do my best. I keep notes over here to the left, and then I look at the camera over there on the right whenever I can. So this hour, I am hoping to have, we're having a little trouble getting him on the line here, but I'm hoping to get Taylor Winston for us. He is actually at AmFest, which is probably why we're having a little trouble reaching him. It's a very chaotic and busy several-day event with lots of big things to do. And this guy is, he is a hero from the Las Vegas shooting. And so he's in demand. I know he's got a lot of folks that are trying to get his attention. As soon as we get him on the line, we will come over to him. But in the meantime, let's continue our little conversation because I think it's worth talking about. I'm talking, of course, about Christmas presents. So I've been asking off and on throughout the show, send me your best ideas for Christmas gifts for your conservative friends. Now, I've had on the super text line, which is 615-737-9986, I have had some folks send me some very funny but not so appropriate gift ideas for our liberal friends. I'm going to avoid saying those on air just to make sure that I don't break any radio rules. But I do have some really cool ideas for Christmas gifts for conservatives. And I know, we talk a lot about, the books that are available and things like that, but I do have some additional ideas. One is a gift certificate. And actually, I'm a bit of a tech nerd, so I can't say I came up with all this on my own. I did ask AI, multiple AI platforms. So I like Gemini, I like ChatGPT, I like Grok, of course, but it's kind of neat to know what everybody else is, what they're all thinking. So gift certificate to a conservative-owned business. Who doesn't love that idea? And I've got some ideas for some right here in Middle Tennessee that you might want to check out. But I am told that we have Taylor on the line right now, and I am thrilled to death to introduce you to him. So let me go ahead and welcome Taylor Winston. Hi there, Taylor.
Hey, EJ, how are you going?
I'm doing terrific. I imagine you are having the time of your life at AmFest.
We are at Turning Point USA AmFest, and it is wild here. The energy with Trump's election is just through the roof.
Yeah, America first all day, right? All day long, all night long?
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone's just going wild. He's going to be speaking on Sunday, and, I can't think of a better weekend or place to be.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to have you on because I saw you at a Tom Homan event and got to hear your journey of what you're doing now, where you came from, all of that, and was just blown away. I think your story is amazing. And I loved that you were there as part of the Tom Homan event because I think having really powerful conservatives all in the same room is really important. And so I want you to talk about being a father, a veteran, and more importantly, the Route 91 mass shooting, what you did there. Let's start with that, and then we'll get into what you do now.
Absolutely. And it was an honor to open up for Tom Homan. I think there's going to be a lot of great things that are going to happen for this country with securing our border. And that kind of led into part of our 2A advocacy is, there's an interwoven arena of mental health, big pharma, and drugs. And shutting down the border, or at least having a little bit more of accountability of our border, is going to reduce, I think, impact on our society with a lot of mass violence from these types of drugs. So that's kind of what is led my 2A advocacy. But to answer and talk on Route 91, that was crazy.
Yeah, to say the least.
Coming hot out the gates with mass violence, everybody. So, as you had mentioned, I'm a mass shooter survivor of Route 91, the Las Vegas shooting, 2017. We lost 58 Angels that night, and over 800 people were injured and shot from one evil person. What I like to tell everyone is, even though one evil person did a horrific, nefarious act, thousands of people risked their lives to save people they don't know, just selflessly putting their bodies over other people. It didn't matter your religion, the color of your skin, your political affiliation. Just the goodness in humans always come out when bad things happen. And that's something I like to always hammer home to any audience. So if you guys are listening, just know there's more good people in this world than evil.
Absolutely true.
And so I guess my story is unique. I ended up commandeering a vehicle when the shooting happened. Once the shooting did happen, a lot of people thought it was kind of fireworks at first. I feel like the individual was testing the distance. A lot of people, were looking around, and they didn't really move. And then it happened again. And then the third time, fully automatic fire rained down into the crowd. There's, I think 22,000 people there.
Yep, outdoor concert, right?
Yep, and it was like shooting fish in a barrel. As you can imagine, pure chaos broke out. Everyone was running, trampling each other, trying to get out of the area. I was able to keep my head on my shoulders and was yelling at people to keep their heads down and move away from where it sounded like the gunfire was coming from. When we got to the fence line, people were getting shot trying to get over the fence. They were getting stuck on the little top of the chain link and stuff. And so we were just trying to escape at that point. Once I got over the fence, I realized we need to do something, and a lot of people are injured. I didn't know this at the time, but ambulances cannot go into an active shooting zone until it's been completely stopped and cleared. And so if people are bleeding out, they're going to die relatively fast and not get the help that they need. And so I didn't know this, but my intentions were the same, to just go get a vehicle and try to get as many critically injured people to the hospital as possible. By the grace of God or higher energy in the universe, literally the first truck I checked had the keys in the center console.
Wow.
So we jumped in. The girl I was with, Jen, looked at her, and I'll just never forget. There was just a moment of, hopefully I get, pass a card on this, because I knew I was taking a vehicle.
Right.
And so we jumped in, fired it up, drove into the gunfire, started loading up as many critically injured victims as we possibly could, and then sped off out of the gunfire. We didn't know where we were going just yet, but I had her look up on her phone. Thankfully, she had service, the closest hospital, because we're not from Vegas.
Sure.
And we just sped in a direction that we hoped was the closest hospital, and fortunately it was. So God was looking out for us yet again.
Yep. I truly believe that God used you as a vehicle, literally and figuratively, to help people and literally save their lives. And I love that you have now taken this as like a life mission, right? Like your transition now into turning tragedy into becoming an advocate for the Second Amendment under really remarkable circumstances.
I think I got called to it because I am passionate about it. I was never big into politics. Love or hate Donald Trump, he made people interested in politics again in 2016. And I didn't know how crazy our politics were behind the curtain, and I think he exposed that for a lot of people. In 2017, I wasn't super active, and this didn't jumpstart it. I think what really jumpstarted it was the aftermath. And just to round out my story, I ended up going back into the gunfire, and I want to round it out because these people get so few people reaching out for congratulate. There were thousands of first responders, and they had set up little makeshift trauma areas, and they were using shoelaces and belts and ripped shirts to stop the bleeding and tourniquets. And I always like to tell people, if this is an EDM concert or something, I think we would have seen a lot more deaths. And the fact that this was a country concert,
Yeah.
everyone
Probably
looked
a
out
really
for
good
each other.
point. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think that's probably true. You know, just the kinds of people who go to country concerts tend to be a bit more conservative and maybe a little more level-headed. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Dark subject, but I want to talk about something really good, which is what you do now. And one of the big things I took away from the presentation that you gave when I saw you a few weeks ago, and the reason I really wanted to have you on the show is you talk about common myths about firearms. Like one of your missions is to get, knowledge in the hands of people who can talk to others so that we can debunk some of the things that are just common myths, right? And the first one you put down here, I've got like a little notes that I took for you. Gun control reduces crime. Tell me how you debunk that.
There's an absolute myth that, or just mental mindset that if we take away guns, we're going to see less violence or crime.
Mm-hmm.
We can look to Australia, and the data is so difficult to navigate, EJ. Like, I can't even tell you how hard I've been studying for the last couple of years after this shooting. Because I did mental health for a while. We did a whole entire year of teaching people about their trauma and stuff, and did mental workshops throughout Southern California. And then I started getting into the politics side and trying to figure out, like, what is causing this? Why are we seeing so much mass violence? And the data out there is just not abundantly available, and it's all misconstrued. And so when you just Google stuff, you're actually getting lied to most of the time, and you have to look through multiple different layers and cross-examine things, and it just is very time-consuming. One of the biggest things is more guns actually equal less crime, and there is exponential amount of data to back this up. There's an entire book on it. I can't remember the author, but it's called More Guns Equal Less Crime. And we can look to Kennesaw, Georgia in 1982 or 84, I believe. They passed a law that the head of the household had to own a firearm. They saw, I think, over a 60% decrease in crime in their area because of that law.
Incredible. Yeah, I like that you're data driven and that you're really just trying to do good things and clearly a hero for what you've done there. Give me your next top debunking, some myth that you want to debunk.
In that same vein would be Australia did it. We should do it. They don't have freedom, first of all.
Sure.
And second of all, there's been a steady increase of crime and violence. Just because they don't have a gun as a tool doesn't mean that these things aren't still happening. And so, like, a lot of Europe has massive knife problems, and people killing each other abundantly with just
machetes in London, right?
means.
Yeah, we hear about it all the
Correct.
time. Yeah, absolutely crazy.
New York in America. A guy with, I can't remember, 42 felonies or something was released from prison with some mental health and then went on a knife killing spree.
Yep.
Just running around with a knife killing people. So you can take tools away from people, but people are still going to do evil things.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing I want people to understand.
That's the reality of it, right? Unfortunately, this is something that we have to deal with in our society. We know this just from last week and the terrible shooting in another school in Madison, Wisconsin. But, if the gun weren't available, I'm sure it would have been something else.
Maybe there's truth to that shooting would not have happened if we didn't have guns in this country specifically because that individual wouldn't have the access to one. So we can sit here and make all these excuses on very specific instances may or may not have happened, but over decades of time, these are things that are just not part of the equation, right? And we have to look at the broader picture. When my kids grow up in America, I want them to have freedom. And
agreed. That's number one, right? Taylor, can I hold you off for the next segment? Because I do want to give listeners
absolutely.
more information about you. We've got a break here in just a second. You are listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Talk.
Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector-transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
Got a crash causing a 43-minute delay in Whites Creek. It's 24 eastbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Then 24 westbound in Antioch. You got a crash right there at Haywood Lane. That Overton County shooting suspect is dead. And now I-40 east of Nashville is going to be shut down for some time. We've got all this and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Back, everybody. Welcome back to the Chris Ann Show. I am EJ Haust filling in. We are with Taylor Winston, hero, advocate, service to our country, father, just all around really cool guy. I want to thank you for being on the show. We've only got about 2 minutes, so I want to real quick make sure everybody knows how to find you. But before I do that, we are talking about Christmas gifts for conservative people, where we can support conservative causes, where we can help out really good people and also give really great gifts. And I understand you run the Nashville Laser Studio, Taylor. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for the kind introduction. We create the founding documents in a wood art design with our laser studio.
Terrific. And I assume those make really great gifts, yeah?
They make fantastic gifts, and what better gift than the gift of education as, conversation starter on your wall, the original founding documents of our country. We made them beautiful, and I wanted to sell a product that had a lot of meaning and not just pump a bunch of junk out into the market. These things can be passed down from generation to generation, and it's something we're very proud of.
I love that. It's called Nashville Laser Studio. And then as far as your advocacy and what you're doing, obviously you're at AmFest right now. You're a bit of an influencer. I think I'm downplaying that. You are a massive influencer on the conservative side of things. How can people find you online, socials, that sort of thing?
Taylor Winston on Instagram, and then 2A Daddy also on every platform, 2adaddy.org, and then 2adaddy.com. So there's different arenas for 2A Daddy. We have the educational nonprofit side, which is .org, and then we have our firearm sales, which is .com, coming soon. We have our FFL and SOT, and we'll be coming out with a suppressor really soon because we feel very passionately that if you can make a shooting experience better for people, we'll be able to convince more people to come over from the other side of the aisle and join us.
I love that. I love that. So thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you so much taking time away from AmFest and really from all the other radio programs that are begging for your attention, all the podcasts that you've been doing. Really appreciate it, Taylor. Everybody go look for Taylor Winston. You are listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am EJ Haust filling in for Chris Hand. Join us at the top of the hour. Just after the break, we have yet another guest for you, and this is someone local to Nashville as well. So you'll want to hear from this guy, I promise.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, we've got 24 eastbound blocked by an accident there in Whites Creek. That's a 50-minute delay. South of Nashville, we've got 24 westbound partially blocked by a crash at Haywood Lane there in Antioch. Full forecast in 5 minutes. The plant shooting suspect found dead after a standoff on I-40 is reportedly going to have the interstate there east of Nashville shut down for some time. That suspect reportedly shot 2 people at the Hutchinson plant in Overton County before engaging in a standoff with police on the interstate in Roane County.
Hello, I am Lieutenant Bill Miller of the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Troopers were out with a barricaded suspect on I-40 at the 342 mile marker in Roane County. During the traffic stop, troopers attempted to negotiate with this person to resolve this situation peacefully. During the investigation, troopers learned that the suspect is deceased. The troopers did not fire their weapons upon the suspect. It appears that the suspect is deceased from a prior wound. This is an ongoing investigation, and this area will be closed for some time. Please continue to seek alternative routes. Traffic is being diverted at the 340 mile marker eastbound, where you'll be getting back on the interstate at the 347 mile marker eastbound. Again, this is an ongoing investigation.
And again, we'll keep you up to date on that. No condition, or rather, we do not know the condition of the 2 people who were shot there at the Hutchinson plant. The House of Representatives in our nation's capital will meet to vote on a 3rd continuing resolution in an effort to keep the federal government funded. The House Freedom Caucus, which saw many of its members voting against the skinny version yesterday, met with Vice President-elect J.D. Vance and House Speaker this morning, and they have reportedly come up with a plan to introduce separate small bills. This, according to Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, who called in to talk to WTN's Dan Mandis during that meeting.
We've got to hold the line. As Tennesseans, I talk about this, and now they're talking about it. Individual spending bills. That's what we do in Tennessee. That's what they're doing right. That's what they're discussing right now.
Any bill would need help from Democrats. President Biden's competency being questioned by many in the media after a Wall Street Journal story. But Biden is out with a new round of loan forgiveness for students. This one is targeted to teachers, nurses, service members, and law enforcement. It'll ease loans after 5 to 10 years of work in government or nonprofit jobs, and it'll cost $4.28 billion. Biden's first attempt at mass cancellation was blocked by the Supreme Court. His second attempt remains tangled in a legal battle brought by Republican states. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Welcome back into the Chris Hand Show, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I am having a blast. Time is flying by. Chris is out in Arizona at a really cool event where he will hear lots of amazing conservative speakers, MAGA speakers, like on steroids out there. Very, very exciting time for him, but super exciting time for me. I am EJ Haust. It's like exhaust without the EX. I had somebody asking me on the super text line, EJ who? Yeah, you can find me on X at EJ under the radar. You can also chime in on the super text line 615-737-9986. We have been talking about Christmas presents for your conservative friends and family, and we're getting lots of ideas in there. But before we get to all that, I have a really terrific guest for you today, Ramont Hamer. Now, let me just tell you, I saw him speak a few weeks ago at a Tom Homan event right here in Tennessee. Tom Homan is an amazing speaker, and I don't think he gets enough praise or credit or really a chance on the short news clips where you just kind of hear. Obviously, Homan is going to be Trump's border security, the head of border security, and he's got a harsh demeanor, and certainly in the interviews you see online, basically what you see is this kind of rough exterior. But when you hear him speak in person, there's such a warm heart there, and you understand why he's so passionate about what he does. And I found that amazing. Equally passionate about what he does is Ramont. Ramont, thank you for joining me. I want to hear all about United We Stand and your organization. Tell me who you are and why you are doing what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, EJ. So it's United We Speak, and the biggest thing for me is making sure that we not only take advantage of the moment we have before us with the mandate that President-elect Donald Trump received, but that we also get in the practice of understanding that we're never off. Like this is right. Never going to be a situation where we find ourselves comfortable, because every single time we get caught flat-footed is because we haven't been preparing.
Right.
And so that's the whole point of United We Speak. We want to make sure that we not only bring in speakers that are going to engage young folks and just young folks in the political world, because how many of us wake up every single day to something new in politics? And so age is relative. I think the most important is, do you stand for the principles that are pro-America?
That's right. That's right. America first on so many levels, right? So United We Speak. I apologize, I said that incorrectly. United We Speak. So your goal then is to reach young people and others, but primarily younger folks. You're a young man. You know what engages that age demographic. I think it's terrific that you're really trying to get out there and put speakers in front of them that they're interested in, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So once we engage them, we then inform. And I think with that informing, there's a responsibility that comes with information. I think Spider-Man made a almost like a movie quote, something you can kind of write off as trivial, but with great power does come great responsibility, and knowledge is power. And therefore, once we have that information, my goal is that we inspire people to take action at that point, whether it's been a campaign sign in your yard, running for political office, so anything in between, it doesn't matter, but just know that their voices are necessary for the fight and the soul for the nation. And then lastly, we want those people to then empower somebody else, because many times I used to work for a large corporation in Tennessee, and I will never forget this moment. I was asked to take some sort of mandatory training, and it was on whether or not I was an ally, DEI training. And I said, okay, absolutely not. And I went to my manager, said, I don't want to do this. They said, oh, you have to do this mandatory. I said, okay, you know what? I might take a page.
Hey, Ramont, we're kind of losing you. You're breaking up a little bit, and I want to hear the rest of this story.
Okay. Is that better for you?
Oh, that's a little better. Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, so I said, I'm going to take a page from...
No, you're breaking up there. I'm sorry. If we're going to have to let you drop. I apologize. I love the story. I'm going to go ahead and talk about United We Speak and let folks know that Vermont is just a stand-up guy. I mean, he's really terrific. The importance of engaging with our younger demographic is huge. And I love that there are so many organizations that are trying to do it now. Not every organization is going to appeal to every young person. And so what Vermont's got going on is here in Middle Tennessee, and you can certainly Google up, United We Speak and find more information about that. But I would encourage you to do it, because if you know college age students, high school students, even really like under 40, is young now. I'm not in that demographic anymore. I'm not going to age myself, but I am going to tell you I'm passionate about getting these folks involved in the political process. One of the things that he talked about when I saw him 2 weeks ago on stage was that, getting really quality speakers that the people want to hear. Like, there's lots of speakers who are terrific, but if they aren't specific to the audience, then so be it. No one's going to come, right? So anyway, are we saying, Mason, we've got a better connection? Let's bring him back in.
All right, we're good to go now.
Sweet. Thank you for that. I apologize.
Absolutely. Pardon me. But yeah, so I was working for a large corporation. They asked me to take that DEI test, and I said, absolutely not. And so I took a page from the left. I don't see color by any means. I was raised in a colorblind family, and I just judge people by their characters. But I said, in this case, I'll make an exception for the company. I said, okay, are you all going to force an African-American young male in a woke corporation to take something he doesn't want to take? And so, of course, my manager threw it all the way up to the top. They said, absolutely not. Absolutely not, Mr. Hammer. You don't have to do that. And then my coworkers around me, all 12 of them, come to find out, they start asking me questions. Are you conservative? Are you Republican? I say, yes, I'm actually, I'm the former chair of the Williamson County Young Republicans.
Yes.
I said, I'm actually the chair. They said, get out of town. We're conservatives too. And so that taught me a valuable lesson. We silo ourselves because of the environment that the left has created. So United We Speak is meant to defeat and break that silo, and we are going to be the culture.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I'm so glad to have you here in Middle Tennessee. Where can people find you?
Absolutely. So you can find us on UnitedWeSpeak.com. You can also find me on my socials, Mr. on all platforms.
You're breaking up again. You're going to have to give it to me. You know what? Text it to me, and I'll make sure that the audience hears it. Shoot. Well, thank you, Ramon. I hope you're listening on the program. Thank you so much for being on. And to the listeners out there, he really is terrific and deserves your attention. If you know college-age students, people in their 20s, 30s who are looking for a way to get involved, who are looking for, just other people to hang out with, quite honestly, that they know share their values, that would be a great organization to start participating in. And hey, maybe a gift you could give someone is a ticket to one of the events that United We Speak puts on for us. Mason, how much time do we have left in this segment?
Got about 5 minutes hanging out with you.
Amazing. So I'm going to go over some of these terrific gift ideas for a few minutes. So I mentioned gift certificate to a conservative-owned business. Helping two parties, right? I think that's really amazing. AI spat out a bunch of answers for me, and so this is what we came up with. There's one particular business that I really like a lot down in Leapers Fork. So Leapers Fork is like one of my favorite towns in Tennessee. Now, granted, I haven't been to every town in Tennessee. If you got a better town out there, super text, let me know, because I would be happy to visit it. But down in Leapers Fork is this this store called The Bunker. Usually when you go to these little towns that have lots of boutique stores, they're female oriented, right? Or decor or something like that. The bunker's got a bit more of a masculine feel to it. Definitely has some unique gift items for the men in your life, in addition to, decor and some other stuff too. It's not a typical boutique shop. They're also fiercely supportive of the U.S. military. Great owners, really like them a whole lot. I should note, I'm not getting paid by any of these things. They're just ideas. Like, these are not commercials. I'm just happy to share this information with you because we're heading into the holiday, and I know everybody's looking for those last-minute gifts. Another really terrific company that actually multiple people on the Super Text line have shared is the Glock store. And they are giving me all kinds of ideas. A Glock 17 from the Glock store. Let's see. There's another Glock 17. I guess everybody likes those. Gifts that include accessories, of course, concealed carry purses, and then also, how about lessons, right? They've got these cool rooms where you are like in a full circle room where you can practice. So that's another kind of really cool idea. Lots of 2A folks out there. I'm glad we had Taylor on to talk about that. Definitely agree with that. That's probably one of the better gifts that you can give one of your conservative friends. So my name is EJ Haust. I'm filling in, obviously, for Chris Hand. You can find me on X. What we're talking about, really, everybody today is about this continuing resolution, what's happening in D.C., the chaos up there. Would love to hear from you. You can call in, too, at 615-737-9986. That's also the Super Text line. Somebody's texting in and saying the bunker is a great store. I agree. When I found that place, I was so happy with it. And the owners are really great too. So, and lots of other stuff down in Leaper's Fork. But if you've got ideas, send them all to me. Somebody else says, got to try Bell Buckle. You're not the first person to tell me that. No, I have not made my way down there. From what I understand, there's a pretty amazing breakfast place. That sounds pretty cool. Maybe I'll have to hit that on my way out of town. We are visiting family this year, not in Minnesota. I will not go to Minnesota again unless I absolutely have to. Definitely not one of my favorite places to be. Somebody says Hardwood Smokehouse in Cookeville. Amazing smoked meats. Okay, smoked meats. Probably one of the best gift ideas out there, conservative or liberal, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say, I got my dad a smoker for Father's Day last year.
I love that.
One of the best things I've ever given, because it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Right? Because every time you go over there.
He's experimenting all the time. It's so good.
Awesome. What's the favorite thing that you've had smoked in the smoker so far?
For Thanksgiving, we actually did a smoked turkey, which was surprisingly really, really good. But yeah, he leans towards like chicken wings and like ribs are his big like go-tos. And
pork ribs or beef ribs?
Pork.
Pork. Okay. And how long does that take to cook?
Oh, goodness. I think the last one that he did was about 12 hours.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
It's impressive, but they're good.
I haven't ventured into that yet, but I think I really, really should. Yeah, like anything that is, so I'm on this like higher protein diet. Like I'm not full keto or anything, that's for darn sure, but I really like, I don't know. I was probably a man in a previous life, if I'm being totally honest, like hunter-gatherer. I'm definitely a hunter and I want to eat the meats, but the smoker might be in my future. So hopefully the husband is listening and he can say, all right, now I know what to get her, because I know he's wondering about that. Anyway, I am EJ Haust. You are listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
All right, drivers, we still have that crash at Whites Creek, 24 eastbound before Old Hickory Boulevard, and then south of Nashville, 24 westbound in Antioch. This is going to be right there at Haywood Lane. The Overton County shooting suspect is dead. The 2 victims being treated at hospitals, one of them critical. We've got the very latest on that coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we go, everybody. This is the Chris Hand Show. I am not Chris Hand. I am EJ Haust. I am filling in for Chris today while he is off gallivanting in Arizona, that lucky guy with nice weather and really amazing America first, just throwing up all over the place over there. AmFest is taking place right now through the weekend, culminating with the Donald Trump speaking on Sunday. I'm sure Chris is having an awesome time, and he will talk all about it when he returns. But right now, you're here with EJ Haust, and I thank you for joining me. We've had an incredible show so far. I mean, really 2 great speakers, 2 just awesome people have joined us, and I appreciate that very much. We do have some breaking news, though, this morning. Amid all the talk of like continuing resolutions and what's happening with Elon and, you know, Trump getting a deal or not getting a deal, all the things, the Biden administration, and I'm careful to say Biden administration, not President Biden, because we all know he's not doing anything. He's probably taking a nap right now or shopping for Jill, but I doubt he's shopping at the bunker. Anywho, they are finalizing another aid package for Ukraine. $1.2 billion. Why is he doing this on his way out? Is this a payoff or something? I don't know. So we are very lucky here in the state of Tennessee to have Congressman Tim Burchett on our side. He's out of TNO2, the Congressional District 2 here in Tennessee. And he does these pretty cool videos, like when he's leaving Capitol Hill or when he's leaving the Capitol, he'll like just pick up his phone and just chat with the people on his way out. And I think that has gotten him such great attention that he's now showing up on more and more news shows. And they seem to wait for him now as he is leaving the Capitol, and I'm here for it. I absolutely love it. But he had something to say about the Ukraine spending, and honestly, we have to appreciate the fact that that Tim is able to kind of multitask, right? Because he's getting hammered, you guys, like getting hammered by people on Capitol Hill. Pass this thing, pass this CR, you know, you got to have it. He was in a meeting with J.D. Vance earlier today, literally stepped out of that meeting to talk to our very own Tan Mandis here on WTN. That's like insane. But, you know, he's doing a lot of things. But he did have time to talk about this Ukraine spending, this new aid package that the Biden administration is putting together. Let's listen to that clip.
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett. A lot of bad bills hidden in things that we shouldn't really be passing. One was dealing with child abuse, and it gave Child and Family Services the ability to say that you can't, in these institutions where they're going to be holding children, that you can't restrain them possibly.
That's actually the second clip that I wanted to play, but it proves my point that he is doing multiple things at the same time. So he's talking about other bills that are coming through, and I just appreciate the heck out of him that he's doing so many different things. But if we can tee up the Ukraine one, I think that's cool too.
Well, I think all you got to look at is when we sent our missile defense system to Ukraine, you had members of both parties in that committee that miraculously owned stock in the missile defense company that we had to restock our missiles with in a no-bid multi-billion-dollar contract. You just go down the line. I mean, everybody wants to rail on Nancy Pelosi. I mean, that's bad enough, but you got folks on both sides of the aisle that are playing that game, and it's just it's unfortunate. You know, everybody ought to do like I do and just call my buddy Tommy Seiler up in Knoxville and let him manage he's managed my $9,000 portfolio in a mutual fund. I think it's up to $11,000 in 6 years, so I'm doing pretty good.
I'm not laughing at the size. I'm laughing at the name check.
Absolutely terrific.
That's fine. That's all right.
Absolutely terrific. Like the fact that he can keep like a lighthearted nature about him as he's going through all this is also a testament to how cool he is. But you know, he's trying to sound the alarm here that like the Biden administration isn't done, and the people in Congress, the uniparty, he's saying it's both sides, aren't done ramming through more bills, ramming through more spending. Ukraine doesn't need another $1.2 billion of our money. Yes, I'm mad. Anyway, I'm going to come back after this break, though, and try to not be so mad here on the Chris Hand Show. You are listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And right now, we've learned the Overton County shooting suspect is dead. Highway Patrol Lieutenant Bill Miller says troopers pursued the suspect to I-40 in Roane County, where they attempted to make contact.
During the investigation, troopers learned that the suspect is deceased. The troopers did not fire their weapons upon the suspect. It appears that the suspect is deceased from a prior wound.
Lieutenant Miller says I-40 will be closed for some time. Traffic being diverted there at mile marker 340 eastbound. You can re-enter at mile marker 347 eastbound. All of this was preceded by a shooting at the Hutchinson plant in Livingston in Overton County. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley is there with information on the two people who were shot.
One person is critical and has been airlifted, and a second is heading to a local hospital and is non-critical. Now, we know the plant has been evacuated and Overton schools are on soft lockdown because students are out for break, but some teachers are still reporting here to work.
No word on who the shooter is or the motive or the identities of the two people who were shot. Right now in our nation's capital, no deal yet to keep the government funded, but we've been told they're working on a third plan.
There is word that talks are again underway between party leaders in the House, but as the clock ticks toward the midnight deadline, Democrats, whose votes may be necessary in the House and whose support would certainly be needed in the Senate, say there's just one quick way to avoid a shutdown. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
It's time to go back to the original agreement we had just a few days ago.
Of course, that 1,500-page spending bill was derailed by President-elect Trump and Elon Musk. After its demise, Trump demanded Congress act to raise the debt ceiling before he takes office.
AAA projecting record holiday travel. Nearly 120 million Americans on the move by car, plane, or train through New Year's Day. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
I think maybe the Chris Hand Show has the best music in radio.
I think that's one of my favorite things I hear every fill-in, every guest that talks on his show.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Kind of pumps you up, gets you psyched for the show.
Oh, absolutely.
I love it. I am EJ Haust filling in for Chris Hand today. You can find me on X at EJ Under the Radar. I'm a bit of a tech nerd and like a technology news nerd, I think is the best way to put it. I really enjoy social media and that sort of thing. So find me out on social media. Last chance to get in on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Let me know. Tell me what you think about everything we've talked about today. Everything from Christmas gifts for your conservative friends to the CR to Tim Burchett to all of it. We're going to switch gears a little bit right now because I think this is huge news. Do you remember, and Mason, I'll bet you remember, Mason, amazing producer. Thank you for everything today. You're keeping me on time and making sure all the guests get through and all that stuff. I appreciate you so much. About, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and even so early as last year, if you said that Biden had cognitive decline and that he was not fit to be president, you were considered an outcast. You were a conspiracy theorist. You were full of it. You were a liar. It's certainly anybody in conservative media, citizen journalists, etc. We were not allowed to say those things really anywhere. Like certainly not on mainstream news, legacy media outlets. You were just laughed off the stage, but you couldn't say it like on X or anything either. Well, it was Twitter, right? Now, all of a sudden, the Wall Street Journal has come out with a damning report. Of course, it's behind a paywall, but don't worry. I'm going to go through it here for you. I'm going to tell you what it's all about. But essentially, it says Biden's decline was not only visible, but it was known and managed by pretty much everybody around him. Going back as far as the campaign. This was over 4 years ago. Jill Biden is mentioned in this article as doing more campaigning in Iowa than Biden himself. So shame on her. I've said this many times over. Like, what a horrible wife you are that you like the power so much. You have to be in that White House so badly that you would put your husband clearly in decline in the last years of his life, whether it's dementia, he might have a titch of Parkinson's. I don't know. Who knows? Whatever he's got, it's not good. And shame on you as a wife. Like, that's mind-boggling. And as much as I appreciate the fact that the Wall Street Journal has come out with this report, it's a little too late. And shame on them for hanging on to it for so long. And every single aide that changed a meeting in this report, they talk about how they would just scrap meetings if he wasn't able to make it, because he just wasn't with it enough. I mean, we've seen him fall asleep on the world stage. Literally fall asleep in meetings with foreign leaders. Hello? We saw it. So we know that the people who are writing this article and all of their sources for this article knew it for a super long time. And I just think that's it's injustice. That's not okay. The liars have also been caught on video, everybody. So Nancy Pelosi and a whole bunch of others, listen to these prominent leaders in D.C. lie repeatedly. You'll recognize some of the voices on here.
President Biden is absolutely fit.
He has knowledge of the issues. He has strategic thinking about legislating. all in the head.
I have spoken with the president. He is fully coherent. He is on top of details.
He's sharp. He's fit. He's always answering questions.
I think that Joe Biden's mental acuity is very, very on. He's one of the smartest, sharpest people I've met in D.C.
There's no doubt in my mind that the president is mentally fit for office.
Joe Biden rightly says that he has grown very wise in his many decades in public office.
As it stands today, you believe that President Biden is clear, candid, and convincing?
100%. Joe Biden needs to be allowed to be Joe Biden. He is energizing. He cares about issues. He's Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, there's nobody better than Joe Biden.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issues. All
right. We got to stop. First of all, I can't stand their voices. But secondly, it goes on and on and on. Kamala Harris is part of that montage. The vice president, current vice president, said that he was sharp as a tack, that he was essentially doing cartwheels in the Oval Office. And these people just lied and lied and lied for more than 4 years. So I have another clip for you, too, which we probably won't be able to play the whole thing. But this is a montage of Biden's obvious decline over the years. Just listen to this.
A montage of the president. Take a look.
Staring into the camera.
I guess I should clear my mind here a little bit and not say what I'm really thinking. There's some movement. There's been a response.
Another clip, another speech.
There's been a response from the opposition.
Oh, it's brutal.
But yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas. I think that, as you know, initially.
Oh my gosh, I can't. Mason. Make it stop.
This is terrifying.
Right? I mean, seriously, terrifying. So who's been running the government? You know, in the first hour, we talked about co-president Elon Musk. Like, that's the new talking point from all the Democrats. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And but not a one of them asked, who's running the government right now? Because it's surely not that guy, right? Like, it's not that guy. I'm looking at the super text line now. Somebody says, finally, someone talking about how bad Jill Biden is as a wife. Yes. And Hunter, I mean, we know Hunter's a loser. Like, that's another whole story altogether. He's just in it, for money for the big guy. But like Ashley, his daughter, how many aides? How about Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House spokesperson? You know she knows that he couldn't come up to that podium if she begged him. Like, it's truly insane. I mean, some of the things in this report are just outrageous. I mean, I'm looking now. If you go on X, you're going to see tons of it. They would say meetings were rescheduled when Biden seemed particularly disoriented, and his staff frequently used note cards to guide him through public and private engagements. Those note cards were used to guide him walking off a stage. No, I'm not kidding. They'd put X's on the ground so that he would know where to walk off the stage. Listen, could you imagine? What if Donald Trump had trouble walking off a stage? Like, could you even imagine the chaos that would be the mainstream media? They would lose their minds, even worse than they've got now. There was all kinds of concern about, his capabilities, that he would fall all the time. Apparently, like, he would fall all the time. And they were worried about that. This is the highest office in the land. And Michael on the super text line says Obama has been running the country. I don't know that I disagree with that entirely. I did mention it earlier that there are a lot of Obama holdovers, right? So like Obama 2.0 presidency, advisors, aides, things like that. Even Tom Vilsack, like these are people who were in the Obama administration and are now in the Biden administration. So really just a shocking revelation. I don't like that the Wall Street Journal put it behind a paywall. I understand, they got to make money too, but do it like everybody else does with good advertising and let people read. 'Cause this, in my opinion, is one of the biggest news stories of the day. And of course, it's going to get less attention. This is a story that'll fly under the radar, so to speak, because we've got the continuing resolution, because we've got the chaos, the shutdown supposedly happening at midnight tonight, and all of that kind of stuff. But it's pretty important. Advisors were basically acting like go-betweens. There was that Stephanie Ruhle from CNN. Who said just but a couple of days ago that, Donald Trump has been accessible, that she can pick up the phone and call and get him. But she was complaining that the Biden administration has like a wall around Biden, and that there were so many hoops to go through in order to reach him, even for just a comment, or an interview or whatever. Ultimately, Donald Trump smartly rejected Miss Ruhle for an interview, but it goes to show you what we've got coming is the most transparent presidency in my lifetime. Like this is a presidency that is going to give voice to the people, and it's going to be competent. Joe Biden is not competent. He can't be transparent because he's not competent. And I think everybody knows that. The White House has declined, to comment on this so far that I've seen. If you've seen it, go ahead and shoot me a tweet about it, because I want to dig more into this story. I mean, it truly is amazing. They kept Biden away from not just the media, but according to this report, kept him away from his cabinet. Kept him away from the cabinet. Is that why Jill Biden ran the cabinet meeting? Remember, we all saw that on camera, and people were like, what? Even liberal news media was like, that doesn't seem right. Nobody elected her. She's the wife. But I promise you, she's always by his side, primarily because I don't think he can be trusted to be all alone. And that would upset the apple cart for Jill Biden, right? I hope these people leave office in full disgrace. I hope they go down in history as the worst administration in our history. And that's saying something. A lot of people have done a lot of bad things, but these people were the worst because they weren't transparent. They were not competent, because they pulled the wool over the American people's eyes. And I think that is shameful. Anyway, we're heading into another break here. We're going to talk a little bit more about your Christmas gifts. I got some more super texts to read, and we're coming up so close to the end of the show here. So anyway, join us on the other side of the break. This is a Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today.
Oh, TikTok or talk?
Talk.
Okay.
TALK.
Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like, going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. and they can't jump, and they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
Hello, hello, radio family. This is, sadly for me, but great for you, the last segment of the Chris Hand Show, because coming up next is Mr. Chad.
That's right. Chad Benson, me, live, noon till 3. This is awesome. Today I was like, I get it. Because if you guys don't know, we do a crossover, but normally in a lot of places I've worked, there's not a lot of people working, so you always kind of have the studio to yourself, get everything ready. But, the last 2 days, Chris has been gone, so I'm like, oh, cool. I'll get in there at like 11:15 and be able to do stuff. And then I saw you on here. I'm like, oh, let's check this out.
Let's check it out. So good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, definitely good to meet you, Mr. Benson. I do have a question for you.
Yo.
So we've been talking for the last couple of hours about Christmas gifts for conservative people. We got some really funny ones that are inappropriate to say.
Those are always fun.
Yeah, that's always fun on the super text line. But what's in store for your friends and family?
For my conservative friends, it's really weird because most of my conservative friends are pretty successful. So as we were talking earlier, you kind of buy all your own stuff.
That's right.
Right? So, I mean, that's just, it's like it's Christmas. You got to find something like a 45, 47, a cool shirt, a cool hat, something like that, hip, not dorky. Right,
Right,
not dorky.
right.
Maybe even an original
Dark
Make
mega
America.
hat, something like that.
Something like, because I've seen there's some cool ones out there now. Some cool trucker hats, because you got to find that cool like thing.
Hey, that's a trend right now. Is
Trucker hats are
creating
back.
your own, creating your own trucker hat. There's like literally pop up. It's almost like a pop up bar. It's like a pop up hat making.
Yeah.
And you can choose your own.
Do you
choose your
remember
own
what was it? Was it like 20 plus years? Because I'm seeing a lot of Von Dutch and Ed Hardy again.
Yeah, Ed Hardy is making a comeback.
Yeah,
That's right.
Ed Hardy.
Yeah, for all the young people listening,
Yeah,
they're like, "What?"
I have a 14-year-old stepdaughter, and my son's 14, and they're like, Ed Hardy's. I'm like, you guys have no idea who Ed Hardy is. You have no idea who Von Dutch is.
Right.
They're like, yeah, we do. I'm like, who are they? Exactly.
Designers.
Ed Hardy is not a designer. He's a tattoo artist.
That's right.
And he's famous for tattooing this kind of unique style that was all his own.
Yeah.
That was very sailor-esque.
That
very,
is copycatted now.
Yeah,
Everywhere, all over.
yeah.
Sure.
And
good reason, though. It's
funny.
terrific.
I think I don't know if he still does it. I don't know if he's passed away or not, but he used to be able to go, and he would, nowadays he doesn't do much, but he would autograph Ed Hardy on your arm.
That's cool.
That was pretty much like the last thing he was doing.
That's cool.
And,
Yeah,
the
very
hipsters
cool.
would go and do it.
What have you got coming up on your show today?
We'll talk a little CR. We'll talk a little bit about that. I mean,
You think it's going to shut down at midnight?
Of course it will. They do this every year. And you know what? Who cares? I don't care. It doesn't affect me. What do I care? It affects very few people, by the way, in the government. And what it should say is, hey, they don't really need us that much if they can go this long without using us.
That's right.
Obviously, the military is one thing. People worry about Social Security will still go out. When I hear they're not going to get their checks, those things have already been cut.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, starting at the beginning of the year, they would be struggling trying to pay some of their bills.
That's right.
But the reality is they're also going to get paid. So they're not going to work and they're going to get paid. Who wouldn't want that for a little bit?
I know. For the holidays.
Yeah,
it's like a gift.
So I'm not really worried about it. I don't really. And the TSA may have some issues, especially with traveling. The soldiers, obviously, is a big deal. But again, those things will affect everybody come the first of the year.
Right.
Not right this second.
Yeah, not right this second.
And they'll come up with something.
And you know what? We've had them before.
And it's a CR, by the way. This is a continuing. Why is a 1,500-page continuing resolution?
Yeah.
Why isn't it just let's do the same? Why don't you actually have a bill that is done and dusted that's a bill for the year? Why are we always kicking the can every 90 days?
Right. Well, I mean, listen, old guard, old cabal, right? The Uniparty, they negotiated all that stuff way back in September.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it earlier, Thomas Massey, he called it. He was like, we'll just be doing this all over again on December 20th.
We do it every year.
Yeah, well, it's every 3 months.
Yeah.
They come back and
Even
they
with
want us to
Trump.
go
Trump
through
said
it
the
again.
last time, I'm never signing an omnibus bill this size ever again. I'm not doing this. I don't know about raising the debt ceiling. That's an interesting thing. Let's get it done.
He said he wanted some negotiating room. So
I'm okay with that. But, it's like this is my fear always. The more opportunity we give them to spend, I don't care what side, because the Republicans abandoned any kind of fiscal responsibility a long time ago. That's always an issue because our grandkids are going to be in a lot of debt.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And there's no avoiding it at this point, right?
no.
The best we can do now. I guess what I don't get is why didn't we just say, all right, you don't like the 1,500-page bill the way it is. Let's go ahead and cut some stuff right now to make some people happy.
Yeah.
Continue spending on everything else. And then we'll deal with it once we get Doge. I think that would have made the most sense.
That would have been, you know what? Kick it out 30 days. That's
Yeah.
it. I mean, just kick it 30 days. We're going to go on this and we'll kick it out 30 days. And then because Trump wants a lot of this stuff done, obviously on Biden's watch or whoever's watching it. It's the other thing we'll talk about today.
Great.
Because that insanity, finally everybody's like, all right, yeah, the deal was.
Yeah.
He was nuts.
I'll be listening to your show to get some more information on that. For everybody who joined me today, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. This is EJ Haust filling in for Chris Hand. Chris, I hope you're having an awesome time. Come back and tell us all about it. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.